Hello, everyone. Greetings. I don't feel like starting the show with the loud, over the top Chewbacca style yes today. Just don't feel like it. I do not feel like it. And the primary reason why I do not feel like starting the show like that today is, first of all, the Heat loss last night was a downer because we allowed the Jokic brothers or the Jokic brothers to get the last laugh. Those two buffoon older brothers of his were sitting right behind the Denver Nuggets bench. Nikola Jokic has a big double-double last night in his return after 4 games off, 4 games away with injury. And to add insult to injury, to rub salt into the wounds, they're celebrating last night at a Miami nightclub. That's clown stuff right there. And I'm not saying clown stuff for them. Good on them for celebrating, right? The Jokic brothers, they're 2 for 2 against the Heat. They sweep the season series this year. After all that stuff that went down with Markieff Morris and Nikola Jokic in the first matchup, we wanted revenge. We wanted to get our revenge on our home floor. Jimmy Butler didn't bother to show up for that. Tyler Hero didn't bother to show up for that last night. And we got straight up clowned by the Jokic brothers. And then to put salt into the wounds, you've got, and I think it was Swan was the name of the establishment. I've been out of that game. Like, I've been out of the game of like trendy, expensive places, nightlife. I've been out of that game for a decade, my friends. But I think that that's where the Jokic brothers took over Swan last night, and they had this whole display. We need to build some Miami City unity here. Like, we cannot, like, you need to send a memo to these Miami businesses. I remember when Club Live allowed the Dallas Mavericks to have their post-finals party at Live right after they beat the Heat in 2011. Like, we need to make these business owners understand, I will fucking boycott your establishments if you allow opposing teams to hold celebrations on your grounds. Like, you want to celebrate, go home to Denver. Go to Casa Bonita in Denver. Celebrate there with the Cliff Divers and the mariachi bands. I've actually been there before, Casa Bonita. Terrible food, overpriced, but the atmosphere is pretty awesome. Go celebrate there. You can't celebrate at Swan. You can't celebrate at Club Live. If you beat the Miami Heat, if you clown the Miami Heat, you take your ass home and you celebrate there. You don't celebrate here. You celebrate there. So I'm bummed about that Heat loss last night because I wanted the Jokic brothers to be humiliated, including Strahinja Jokic, the eldest brother, who was arrested for assaulting a woman back in 2019. I didn't want him to be happy. I didn't want the 2 younger brothers, including Nikola Jokic, the reigning MVP, to be happy. They got the last freaking laugh last night. And yeah, the other reason why I'm not in a great mood today, just being real here, Devin Jordan, he hits on it here. What's up, Donno? What's the 411 on the Canes athletic director hire? Here's the 411. I am getting sick and tired of these so-called insiders tweeting out the eye emojis, and like every 18 hours, they're tweeting out the white smoke from the Vatican. It's happening tomorrow. The announcement's going to come tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes. Tomorrow becomes today. Nothing happens. It's been going on for days. Nothing happens. It's been 15 days now since Blake James was canned. 15 days. This was supposed to be concluded, this search, within 2 weeks. Hell, maybe it does get announced today. Maybe it does get announced tomorrow. But I am getting sick and damn tired of these so-called insiders every few hours tweeting out the eye emojis and tweeting out, oh, my inside source told me this, that, and the other, X, Y, and Z. This is happening today. It's happening tonight. It's definitely Gino, or no, it's definitely Alonzo. It's definitely Jurich. Oh, but the search committee doesn't want to interview Jurich, so it's not Jurich. It's starting to drive me insane. Starting to really drive me insane. I will say, you know what? Hold on. Before we say any more, and we have a couple of very interesting. Oh, no, you had to throw this in my face, Manny? You had to throw number 55 in my face? I got to tell you, though, the way Duncan Robinson has been playing, his season is a huge victory for the working class. Huge victory. If you don't think you get paid enough at your job, Duncan Robinson should be inspiration to you. When Duncan Robinson put pen to paper this past summer on his $90 million extension, Duncan Robinson became the highest paid bricklayer in the history of planet Earth. He gets paid $90 million to go 1 for 9 from beyond the arc. If that's not inspiration for you, I don't know what is. You're telling me I can be terrible at my job and I can make $90 million to do that. Oh, sign me up for that. I don't know what the YouTube equivalent of going 0 for 9 would be. It would probably be all the mushes that I do. I'm 1 for 9 on my bets last week. I wish I was getting paid $90 million. Number 55 should be in jail. You're not wrong about that. All right, folks. I'm a little bit bummed today. I'm frustrated. I'm not having a great day, and my sports teams do contribute to that. I'll be honest with you. I know that like there are some people that let politics really bug them and get them down. It doesn't get me down. What gets me down is frustration from my sports teams, frustration from my Miami Heat last night, just impatience with my Miami Hurricanes in the UM athletic department. I'll tell you what makes me feel better, though. The Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. I might need to knock down a few pints of beer tonight at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. You can get those cocktails going, my friends. Make sure when you're there, you ask for the 2-for-1 happy hour. They've got 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. It is always happy hour at the Quarterdeck. I love the 2-for-1 margaritas. I love the ice cold beer at the Quarterdeck. The seafood is so delicious, my friends. Build your own poke bowl. The sushi is great. The fresh mahi-mahi is awesome. The buffalo shrimp are my favorite appetizer on planet Earth. The sandwiches and burgers are so good. The baby back ribs are tender. I'm telling you guys, the Quarterdeck is an awesome place to grab a meal, and it's an awesome place to watch the big game. You're going to be able to watch every Heat game. When Duncan Robinson goes 1 for 9 from 3, watch it at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. They got TVs covering every wall. Hot tip, if you want to watch a UFC pay-per-view fight and not pay $70 to watch it at home on ESPN+, the Quarterdeck has every UFC pay-per-view for zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door. If you want to find the location nearest to you, and if you want to check out their menu before you go, I love looking at the menu before I get out there. Visit them on the web at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. And we are brought to you by our official sportsbook, betus.com. Guys, betus.com, they are the 3-decade leader, the mainstay in the industry. They've been around for 27 years. They're not like that app that popped up a few weeks ago that was around for like 27 days. BetUS.com, they have been taking care of satisfied clients for 27 years. They are not going anywhere. Yeah, bet on Duncan Robinson missed threes, and you'll be a trillionaire. You're going to be Jeff Bezos if you bet on Robinson under on 3-point shots every single night. Guys, it is a full-service sports book. They even have an online casino right there on the website. I love playing blackjack at BetUS.com for real money. Bet on sports, play in the casino, horses, pop culture, and more. And we have the best bonus in the industry, my friends. You sign up today at betus.com. Type in our code. When you sign up, type in our code 5RSN125. That's 5RSN125. And they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. You're not going to find a bonus that good anywhere else. 5RSN125. And then bet everything at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. betus.com. I am excited about the guests that we have on today. Now, first of all, the guy who's going to join us in about 7 minutes, you know him, you love him, and he's going to help us get to the bottom of why the Heat struggled defensively, especially so much yesterday, because it wasn't really the offense. Even without Hero and without Butler, it was the defense that let the Miami Heat down yesterday. Bam Adebayo had a bad first half, and then he shows up and starts playing when the Heat were down 20. That was disappointing. We've already talked about number 55. I don't want to mention his name again, at least not until Brady comes on. But Brady Hawk from 5reasonsports.com and 5 on the Floor is going to join us at about 3:15 to talk about that Heat loss last night. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't want these South Florida restaurants and nightclubs to be hosting parties for teams that come in here and humiliate us. Show some unity, show some pride in your city. Cut that nonsense out, man. So he's going to join us. And you know he's going to join us at 3:40. I've been saying it the last couple of days. And I am legitimately concerned that this interview might get us in trouble, because you notice all of the censorship that happens on social media, on YouTube. There are just certain truths that the powers that be, the elites, the globalists, the Illuminati do not want people to hear about, okay? And we are going to get to the bottom of a number of Tua Tagovailoa related conspiracies with TuAnon himself, Galuminati. TuAnon is going to join us at around 3:40 today. If you've been following TuAnon on Twitter since he's been active for the last few weeks, I'm surprised that his account is still allowed. Now that Jack Dorsey has stepped down and there's a new Twitter CEO, I'm surprised she hasn't put the kibosh on TuAnon at this point. As soon as they figure out what this guy has going on, they probably can't find him because I'm pretty sure I think he's in the former Soviet Union somewhere. I've never been able to ping his location, nor do I want to, because if I find out who he is and where he is, that makes me, I'm sure, an accessory for something. So there are big time conspiracies. From what I understand and following his threads over the last few weeks, Jeffrey Epstein was somehow involved in all this. I'm pretty sure George Soros is the one pulling the strings behind the scenes somewhere. The one thing that I can't really understand is, is the new, I don't know why I thought it's not a she. I don't know why I thought it was a woman, the new Twitter CEO. So it's a dude. Whoever it is, they're trouble. Like you're not allowed to put a person's face on a tweet anymore. Oh, so it's Justin. Oh, I thought it was Justine. I think that was what it was. I thought the name of the new Twitter CEO was Justine, but it's Justin. Telling you, I mean, I don't even know what's going on with that. So TuAnon is going to be joining us at around 3:40, 3:45. So we are going to get to the bottom of some pretty harsh truths. We tend to dedicate Tuesdays to some terrible takes. I sent Manny a few tweets that I want to pull up there. So you could start with Manny, the king of Finland tweet. Finland spelled Phin land. That with 5 games remaining, Jalen Waddle is 25 receptions away from breaking the NFL record for most receptions in a single season by a rookie. He has been the absolute truth. And it's not only Jalen Waddle, and it's crazy the way that these things fluctuate with people, because a few weeks ago, everyone was saying, oh my God, we could have had, we could have had, what was the other receiver, Devontae Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner. Oh, we screwed up. We drafted the wrong Alabama wide receiver. This guy is a handful of catches away, and you got 6 games left in the season. This guy might get 25 receptions in the next 3 games, let alone in the next 6 games. So I think he's going to set that record. And we're really coming to realize as Tua Tagovailoa is maturing, Jalen Waddle is also maturing and getting more comfortable. We're getting more of those yards after the catch. We were kind of wondering, the first month and a half of the season, where was the yak? Why couldn't this guy get any separation? He's getting that now. His blazing speed is really showing us some impressive things out there. So yeah, a few weeks ago, everyone was like, oh my God, we could have had Devontae Smith. Why did we draft Jalen Waddle? The other one is, people thought we drafted the wrong Alabama wide receiver. They were also thinking the Miami Dolphins drafted the wrong defensive end from the University of Miami. Because, Greg Rousseau, he's got 3 sacks against the Miami Dolphins offensive line, Jesse Davis specifically. That's all the sacks he has this year. That's all the sacks that Greg Rousseau has this season. And I'm not saying he isn't a good player. I think he's going to be a great player in the NFL. I loved both of the Miami defensive ends. I love Phillips. I love Greg Rousseau. But everyone overreacting, saying, oh, my God, the Dolphins got the wrong one. Jalen Phillips doesn't know what he's doing. Well, the Dolphins had this guy playing out of position early in the season. That's one. And then 2 would be in the case of Jalen Phillips, this guy wasn't fully healthy heading into the year, so he had to grow into his role and get into full fitness. And you are seeing the devastating results because Jalen Phillips now is borderline unblockable. This young man is an incredible football player. So, a couple of these high draft picks, the Dolphins fans were regretting and second guessing. We don't know what we're doing. Things are looking a lot better in recent days than they're looking now. I think this will be a good segue tweet to bring in Brady Hawk. Pull up the next one. Pull up the next tweet here. Oh, this is from. Oh, I thought that this was the Twitter CEO. I'm so confused. This is the tweet from Justin Termine. Another in a long line of guys Pat Riley gave big money to: Hassan Whiteside, Dion Waiters, Tyler Johnson, who then took big steps back. Good thing he doesn't run an organization in a non-destination market where you can't easily cover up your mistakes. So now we're taking shots at Pat Riley. So now we're out there saying, oh, Pat Riley, this guy is overrated. Oh, you're doing it in Miami where you've got sunshine and no state income taxes, and you've got nightclubs and you've got beaches. Try doing that in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Pat. Well, first of all, Pat Riley, he's such a great executive. This guy can essentially choose where he works and where he lives. No one wants to be in a small, crappy market like that. I mean, if Pat Riley wasn't in Miami, he'd be someplace like Los Angeles or New York or Boston. He's not going to go to one of these flyover towns, one of these flyover markets. But now to the source material, because he was commenting on a tweet about Duncan Robinson. I have been panicking on Duncan Robinson for a good chunk of the season so far. Now we're about a quarter of games into the year. Outside of maybe 2-3 decent performances, old Dunk, he's been on a milk carton. I mean, Duncan Robinson, this guy is getting paid handsomely to lay brick after brick after brick. He's doing some good renovations on FTX Arena with the number of bricks that he has been laying. Let's bring in our very good friend, a guy who's a staple on Tuesdays on this show. One of the best in the business when it comes to breaking down the Miami Heat, breaking things down analytically. He offers perspective on basketball that most of us can only dream to have, and that is Brady Hawk from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Good afternoon, Brady. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you for coming on. So, all right, let's start with number 55, as Manny just loves flashing that photo up there. He hit his first 3 last night, and we see him do that from time to time. We're like, okay, he's going to get into a rhythm here. If he hits the first one, he's going to hit the next, 4 out of 5. Everything's going to be great. He hits the first one, goes on to miss his next 9 3-pointers. And of course, the Heat were in need of players stepping up with no Jimmy and no Tyler Hero last night. So they needed people to step up that scoring. That was really the defense that was more of the problem yesterday. But maybe if Duncan had done better than 1 for 9 from 3, we'd be in a better situation here. What do we do now with Duncan, Brady? Because I can understand being patient with this guy through 10, 14, 15 games. We're at 20 games now, and this seems to be a mental block for him, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think now we're at right past game 21. Like, now it can get a little bit more serious. But there's no real changes that can be made, in my opinion. Like, we talk about the role he's in, the usage that he's put into. Like, this is mental. Like, and there's no doubt about that. Like, we've been saying this for a while, but there's just absolutely no doubt. You look at last night, I looked through the 9 shots he took from 3. There was 3 combined dribbles, as that tweet he just pulled up said. That stuff just says that he has open looks, which he did. Everything's off the catch, which he's been great with over his years. There's no reason for it. Like, it's just that it's a mental side of things that he's going to have to get over it. It's something that shooters go through. It seems like he's just overthinking things. And sometimes when you have all these open looks and Lowry's floating you the ball into the corner, which, by the way, he's having more corner looks than ever, it just seems like he's completely overthinking it. Like, it's just when you have more time, it leads to more overthinking, and that's what's happening. But it doesn't seem like a change in roles coming. I don't think he's going to be replaced in the starting lineup at any point. Like, they're going to ride this out, but it is just up to him to try to come over it himself.
Now, another player that has us a little bit concerned, because I wonder if he's fully healthy and fully fit. He did take over at times yesterday, but didn't start taking over till the Heat were down 20. And that's Bam Adebayo, who's not really looked like himself. Do you think there's more to the story there? When we talk about Duncan's problems being mental, do you think Adebayo's problems right now are physical?
I do. I think, I don't really know. They haven't really said anything. They had the knee thing before, which led them to some questionable tags throughout. But it does not seem like he's fully healthy. Like, of course he's not. I don't think there's anything major like that's going to have to happen. But, like, you need to have a healing period, and he just hasn't had that because so many other guys have gone out and different things like that. I do think with him, like, him getting the full blame is just not fair because of the circumstances. He had probably the toughest matchup anybody in this league could probably have. But the issue from my perspective is just doing it consistently through 48 minutes. Like, he had the third quarter explosion where he had more shot attempts than anybody on the floor. He had 15 points. Like, we know he can do that. But it's not as much about the scoring. Like, it's not that he had to do that early. It's just that he had to be present and at least impact in a certain way. Like, Kyle did it through 5 first quarter assists. Like, you've seen them do it. You just can't win a game without Jimmy and Tyler and have Bam play that way. You just can't. I don't know if they could have won that game if he was playing that way just because it's such a hard matchup without two of your two best scorers essentially. So I don't know if it's totally on Bam, but it does seem like I don't fully know if the health is fully there.
I agree with this comment here from Michael. I'm expecting Caleb's threes to go in more than Duncan's. I could say the same thing about Strus. I can say the same thing about a lot of players on that roster. But let's talk about on the positive side of things. Caleb has been fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
has he exceeded your expectations?
Oh, 100%. I think back the first thing I was able to cover was the scrimmage before the season. Uh, and Caleb Martin was the best player on the floor in that scrimmage. Like there was no doubt about that. He was just a two-way that came in and looked like he was ready to go. He was going to play hard. I knew of him as an isolation scorer that can get to the rim and do different things, but he was hitting off the catch threes. And most importantly, he was probably one of the better defenders in that scrimmage just because he's absolutely everywhere. And that's carried over to what he's doing now. Spoelstra's called him the perfect plug and play guy. He's called him a perfect Jimmy Butler replacer, which is not an easy thing to be called because Jimmy just does so many things. But Caleb does a lot of things, and I think it just speaks to, for one, Miami's two-way excellence in a lot of ways because they keep grabbing these guys like Gabe, like Max, that end up fully being on the roster a year later. They trust them to have multiple starts in the season. They did it last season. They're doing it now. Like that's not really normal. But Caleb himself being able to now hit the three consistently that we're seeing this season, it's a difference maker. He's kept them in a lot of games. He's done his part. I think Gabe's done his part. Max has done his part. It just seems now we're looking at the top of the roster when guys are out. It's kind of fully pushed through. But it does feel like I don't think Caleb will be on a two-way deal for long just because of the production he's getting right now.
I completely agree. Let me go back to Bam, and I don't mean to use Ronell Ulisse here as a sacrificial lamb because I do see comments like this a lot, but I feel like it's just an overreaction to these last several games, Brady. He writes in, Bam is just not that good. He's a solid player, but not a player you build around. And I'm not even singling this gentleman out because I see a lot of people spreading this around. I just do not agree with it. I mean, this is Mr. No Ceiling, and I've seen what Bam can do before. We shouldn't be worried about Bam, or should we, Brady? I mean, set me straight on this.
No, I really don't think you should be worried about Bam. I think for one, we said time and time again, but the defensive stuff puts him over the top already. And I think people are kind of get annoyed hearing that over and over, but it's just the truth. But the offensive stuff has been there as well. You've seen flashes in every area of his game. It's just, like I said before, I really think it just comes down to him picking one thing. Like I've said this before, we talk about him going to the face-up game. We talk about him taking advantage of smaller defenders, trying to take bigger defenders off the dribble, and doing so many different things. But I think in the end of games, or at any point when he needs to score, he has to have a consistent thing he can go to. And I think right now he's trying to do so many different things. It's a role change for him. Like, of course, we've said before, I think I expected a little bit more of the role threat. We saw it earlier in the season. Kyle brings that aspect immediately, but it's kind of tailed off a little bit. And it's kind of led to Bam just being in a different role. And I think they're going to get back to that pretty soon. And that may tie into the health thing because maybe you don't want a guy that has a little bit of a banged up knee to be continually rolling and getting up in the air, going up for lobs. So I think we're going to see a change there, but in no way do I think you should be fully worried in that aspect. Of course, using his contract against him is just not a good way to go about it. Like he is a max player. It's the first year of it. Like he's going to continue to develop. And this season, you're going to see him continue to develop once they put him in the right spots, which I think is coming really soon.
21 games into the season, what grade do you give on your early report card for Kyle Lowry so far?
I think it's harder because I think the recency bias puts me a little bit higher. Just because of the way he started, it really was not the greatest shooting and scoring performances overall. I think you know what you're getting from Kyle either way. So like the grade right now doesn't really mean anything just because no matter what he's doing, I projected even higher by playoff time because I just know what he's capable of. I would say in probably the B range just because of recently what he's able to do. I think the defensive stuff has tailed off slightly, but I still think he's positionally solid that you don't have to worry about that in any aspect. I think his passing, as we saw last night, really was big time. Like that's what you need. You need to have when you have a lot of your young guys out there on the floor like Caleb. And he said yesterday he was just out there doing one thing, which was running the floor. Like Kyle's going to find you. He really knows how to pick out each player's best skill. And I think that's one of the best things you could possibly have in this game. So I would say it's around that. I think the three's starting to fall now. Being able to score now is a game changer. I immediately think to that Clippers game in the fourth quarter where he was kind of picking mismatches and he went on that big time scoring run, even though they fell short. Like that's a Kyle you can have in a playoff game. And that's why you're not worried about Kyle's up and downs as much as you are other people.
Brady Hawk from the 5 Reasons Sports Network joins us here on Donno Daily. Were you live in the arena last night, Brady?
No.
Okay, that may be good because the Jokic brothers were there, and since you're associated with the show, they may come after you because I've said some nasty things. But did it bug you a little bit that we allowed Nikola Jokic and his dopey brothers to get the last laugh? Because he had a huge game last night, Brady. I mean, 24-15, a big man's double-double last night.
Yeah, I don't know if the win was him getting the last laugh. Like, I think he was going to be at the club after the game either way, even in a loss. So he was going to be having a decent trip down here either way, that he was going to be laughing it up down here. So I don't know if I fully think that. I think we knew if Jokic was going to play what he was going to do. I don't know if we expected fully that it would be a loss like this, but Jokic, one of the best players in this league. You cannot slow him down in any way. Once again, referring back to the BAM stuff, you just cannot put that type of pressure on him and tell him, hold him up to a certain standard when you're going up to a guy like that can do so many things and just fully pick you apart defensively. So going back to the Jokic brothers, yeah, sitting behind the bench, they definitely had a nice last laugh and a good time in this one.
And I hate, you mentioned he was going to go to the nightclub either way, but I hate the fact that Miami, it can just be such a soulless city where these nightclubs will bend the knee for players from opposing teams who come down here and want to celebrate things. Like I'll never forget, the club that allowed the Dallas Mavericks to celebrate the 2011 championship down here after they clinched it. And now I think that the establishment they were at was Swan, which just like they allowed the Jokic brothers to throw a big party. Do you agree with me, Brady, that all the local businesses, if you come down here and you beat the Miami Heat, you want to celebrate, go celebrate in crappy Denver. Like, no, don't celebrate here. Go celebrate at the Casa Bonita in Denver. Go home. We're not going to let you celebrate on our streets. No.
Yeah, I'd agree, but I think if you're the reigning MVP, you have a little bit more pull than the average guy. I feel like he's earned his stay to go around the league at this point to be able to go in there. But definitely, I think it is something Miami as a whole should probably crack down on. I don't know if they will. I highly doubt that they will. I feel like the money is probably more important than the status.
How dare they? How dare they prioritize their profits over the pride that we have in our city? Let me give you this question from 1J54. I don't know if Brady covered this. He did not yet, but why does this team switch so much?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of reasons. It's just one of the things they've done for quite some time, just because they have so many great defenders and they're able to kind of go about it in different ways. I don't think it's the greatest thing many nights. Like last night in particular, I'm not as hard on as I usually am, just because, for one, they went to zone a little bit, but you cannot go to zone against Nikola Jokic. Like right. the ultimate thing you can do is put Nikola Jokic in the middle of a zone and have him score and play make. You just can't do that. They went drop in the second half for long stretches and it worked. And I think that just speaks to the switching in the first half. The switching was just bad in the first half because Jokic was able to get guards on his back the entire time and he was scoring. And that's why he went on that huge scoring run in the first half. So I think they're going to have to do something about it. Like, I just think you have so many talented defenders on this team that fighting through screens against a team like this, you just have to do it. Like, you have to live with that type of thing because you cannot live with a guy like Nikola Jokic having a little smaller defender on him. I think some nights you can go about soft switching because there's certain teams you can match up with that you match up really well that's maybe either smaller, and the switch doesn't really matter, especially if PJ's the one. They did it a couple times in the last game where they would put PJ on DeRozan so that when the screen came, he would immediately switch on to Vucevic, and that was a big time. That's basically why they won that game defensively, and they were able to hold them down. But in other games like this, you just have to kind of abort soft switching. I feel like if they went dropping that way early on, it probably could have been a different game.
In last night's game, it went off without incident, but still, I was very disappointed, to be honest here, to see DNP coach's decision next to the name Udonis Haslem. I was hoping he would start last night, Brady, but Eric Spoelstra did not take the bait.
I didn't expect to start, but I did expect playing time. Like, this is a team that has totally gone through 9-man rotations forever. Like, Eric Spoelstra has a 9-man rotation no matter what. They went eight, and I did not know who that ninth was going to be. You look at the roster, I did not think it was going to be Omer. KZ, I think seeing KZ not be thrown into a 9-man rotation last night speaks on to what they think of him at this stage, because if he doesn't play last night, he's not going to play anytime soon. Like, that's just clear. The only guy that could have played and stepped up, I thought, was Udonis Haslem. I think he gives them a certain spark, not through just the fighting stuff, but I think
Yeah.
even basketball wise, I think he gives them a spark in a game like that where you're down 15 and you could at least get the crowd into it. He could get the players into it a little bit more, and he's can still be productive at this stage. We've seen him go in there, maybe not Kyle throwing him a lob as we saw in that one play, but him just going about it, giving that type of spark. I think you should use him, but they didn't. They went 8, and obviously we know what happened ultimately.
We sure do. So watched the game last night, and it was like pulling teeth. It was so as a Heat fan, it was really really tough to watch. But one thing that I haven't done a whole lot of since last night is check in on Heat Twitter, because I've been so consumed with anything going on with the Miami Hurricanes AD and head coaching stuff that I have ignored Heat Twitter. Is Heat Twitter overreacting, Brady? Because I love how no matter what you do with one victory, you lose your next game. Like from Chicago to this Denver game, is the sky falling on Heat Twitter?
Definitely. Like, I feel like it's a mess right now. I feel like these are the type of games. I don't know if it's Jokic brothers impacted or what it is, but it does seem, Duncan and Bam are the focal points. I feel like there just needs to be some perspective on this. Like, of course, Duncan did shoot the ball bad. We all know that. Bam probably didn't have the greatest full game. We all know that as well. But they were without their two best scorers in Butler and Tyler Hero. Like, we cannot overlook that fully. Like, of course, we see a Denver team that lost 6 in a row up to that point. They're not with that. They were without Jamal Murray, which probably won't come back till playoff time. Michael Porter Jr., they don't know when he'll come back. So they're a mess as well. But it does not equal out to having your two best players not play. And Nikola Jokic, the reigning MVP, is on the other side. Like, there needs to be that type of you need to kind of realize that. And I think when you have those type of things, you have your full team. I think Jimmy is one thing, but I think even if you had Tyler last night, it changes things fully. Like, if you have his scoring punch and you have Jimmy resting on the sideline after, hurting his back from the fall, you're sitting much more nicely just because they need that scoring punch. Last night, they didn't have it. It felt like guys were trying to step up and be that scoring punch, but they're really not that. And that's not a knock on Bam Adebayo. He's can score the ball, but being that number one option, not like that to try to match Nikola Jokic is just not his strong suit.
So I think this could be a good one to end on, because if and when this man does become available, it's going to, and I was listening to a recent 5 on the Floor episode, and I thought you guys hit the nail on the head, that it's going to be like making a very impactful trade deadline acquisition, right? That when Victor
Right.
Oladipo is ready to go, this is going to be like a trade deadline for the second year in a row. It's going to be like acquiring Victor Oladipo at the trade deadline. So yeah, to answer Gus' question, thank you, Gus Padron. Brady, when do you think we will get the first Oladipo health update?
Probably 30 minutes before tip off on a random night in the year 2022. Like, that's the way they're not going to go about it. They're not going to give anything early. Like, it's just going to be a random thing that comes up out of nowhere. That's just been the way they go about it. I do think when he returns, like 100%, you just hit on it. It is basically like a trade acquisition. It's a total new piece. I think the issue was before the season, I was saying, was you can't go about this like Oladipo returning is going to save your team. Like, it just has to be that extra piece that brings you over the top. But I think looking at this team, they're 13-8 right now. It feels like we said Twitter's falling apart, but this is still a really great team in the East. But Victor Oladipo could heavily help this team. It doesn't matter that some guys are going to get knocked out of the rotation, but seeing the way things go, rim pressure is going to be huge, as we talked about on that episode of 5 on the Floor. Like, that changes everything when you have that extra guy. That's when I don't think it's going to happen. But that's when you can begin to talk about changing the starting lineups or changing the rotations. When you have that guy in Victor Oladipo off the bench, that can just do so many things defensively. He can create, he can initiate offense, he can obviously score on the ball and off the ball. It changes things greatly. Obviously, we don't know the health he's going to be at, the percentage of health he's going to be at. But Victor Oladipo is Victor Oladipo, and him as a bench piece is a pretty big addition heading into a postseason or playoff series.
Yeah, no doubt. Brady Hawk, huge thank you, my friend. And of course, he's the hardest working man at 5reasonsports.com. Let people know when your next story is coming out. And of course, I was before the show, I was reading your 5 takeaways from last night. So if anybody hasn't caught those, go check out Brady's 5 takeaways. What else can we expect this week?
Yeah, just articles at 5reasonsports.com. Probably another one up in the morning. And then Twitter at Brady Hawk 305. I'll be covering the game tomorrow against Cleveland.
Awesome job, man. Brady, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
True professional right there. Brady Hawk, the boy wonder. I call him the Doogie Howser MD of 5reasonsports.com. What a job this guy does. What a job our newest partners at BlockFi do. We are proud to be a BlockFi affiliate. We actually have to update this graphic, guys, because you can now get up to 9% APY on your crypto at BlockFi.com. I know a lot of you watching this are already active in the crypto space, which is awesome. If you haven't gotten into it yet, chances are you've heard about crypto, people making money in the crypto space, people having fun trading in the crypto space. Maybe you just don't understand it, because I can relate to that, because before I got into crypto late last year, late in 2020, I didn't really understand it. I had to have people explain it to me. I had to read, all about it before I got into it. And now I'm so happy I did, my friends. So whether you're new to the crypto space or you're a seasoned veteran, BlockFi can get you set up with ease. You can open an interest account with your crypto and earn up to 9% APY. That is called passive income, my friends. And apply for the BlockFi Rewards Visa Signature Card and earn unlimited 1.5 cashback in Bitcoin. So let's stack those sats, man. And you can sign up. We have a referral link. All right. So if you go to the show description on YouTube, that's below this video you're watching on your screen, go to our show description. You're going to see the BlockFi referral link. Click there and sign up so you can get going with BlockFi. These guys are doing a fantastic job. All right, my friends. And I don't know exactly what time he's going to join us, because I don't feel like I can tell TuAnon how to live his life. I'm not even sure where he's going to be joining us from. But I would say within the next 5 to 10 minutes, TuAnon is going to join us to shed some light on everything the Illuminati is doing. The elites, the globalists, what they're doing to shut down this young man. Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know what this guy's done wrong, but they're coming after him. The powers that be. So we're going to talk with TuAnon in a little bit. In the meantime, I would love to hear from you guys in the chat if you are a Miami Hurricanes fan, if you're following everything that's going on. What do you want the final resolution to be here? What we know for sure is they've got to hire a new athletic director. And I think they have to do that quickly, right? Because even in the off chance, the slim chance that the new athletic director doesn't make a head football coaching change, it's become apparent that the president and the board of trustees have already decided they're going to allow the new athletic director to make that final decision. I'm told here that TuAnon is on his way, by the way, so that's good. So the BOT, the president, they do not want to make their final decision on Manny Diaz. Does he stay? Does he go? Who comes in? Now, of course, I think that they are talking to some potential replacements through the back channels. That's why the situation is very complicated, because believe me, they've got people talking with Mario Cristobal and his people behind the scenes. We basically know that factually to be the case. I'm sure they have people behind the scenes talking with Lane Kiffin to kind of gauge his interest and keep him updated on what's going on. But at the end of the day, they're not going to make their final decision until they have a new athletic director. So who do you want? I have found myself over the last couple of days, and it might be because it looks like this is the direction that they could very well be going in, warming up to the idea that the AD job in Coral Gables could ultimately go to someone who doesn't have athletic director experience. Because I'm led to believe Alonzo Highsmith is considered a very strong candidate, might even be the front runner, and that Gino Torretta, as Barry Jackson reported this week, Gino Torretta is a very strong candidate. Apparently, he had an amazing interview where he blew everyone's socks off with whatever he said. I'm not privy to what his plan is, but it sounds to me like one of those two former great Miami Hurricanes from years past could end up being the ones in charge of this athletic department, with the caveat that either of them would be bringing in one of these career administrators to help them kind of organize all the other stuff. Because as we know, you become the athletic director at an institution, a big institution like Miami, you're not only in charge of the football program. I know that that's what we care about most. You're also in charge of basketball, baseball, women's basketball, softball, swimming and diving, tennis, golf, all of this stuff. And so, okay, if a football-centric guy like Alonzo or Gino gets the job, they're going to want to have an administrator to come along with them in kind of a package deal to really assist them with the growing pains of learning all the other stuff. That could be the way that this thing plays out. Because the way it was told to Barry Jackson is, football is the priority. Football is absolutely the priority. And I believe that it should be. And this is not just me living in a football bubble, because I am also a basketball fan and baseball fan for what that's worth. I don't follow some of the lesser sports as closely as I probably should, but I do root for Miami in every single possible sport. But we all know football is king, right? We know that the history of the football program is stronger. I mean, baseball is up there as well, but the history of the football program is what really brings attention to the university, put asses in the seats, and it's what brings in the most revenue, or theoretically should be bringing in the most revenue. So I can understand why football would be the top priority and why they kind of feel like there's going to be a trickle-down effect. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, that if they can fix the football program and make the football program a powerhouse again, that is going to trickle down in a positive way to the other sports. So it sounds to me like they are prioritizing that. Are you concerned at all, my friends? Let me know in the comments that so many moves, coaching-wise, are being made with big programs. Do you think Miami is sitting on the sidelines for too long? I mean, we got the bombshell this morning. Brian Kelly is on his way out of Notre Dame, and he's going to LSU. We got the bombshell within the last couple of days. I think it was on Sunday when this came final, that Lincoln Riley was leaving Oklahoma to go to USC. I'll tell you one bit of hypocrisy that's been really put under the microscope these last couple of days. I do not want to hear any more clowns with agendas complaining about players wanting to step into the transfer portal, complaining about players, college players wanting to be paid for their name, image, and likeness. Because you have a lot of people out there, you need to preserve the integrity of amateurism. Oh my God, we're going to be paying players. We're going to allow these guys to transfer and go wherever they want. You sign that scholarship, that is a lifetime commitment. No more of that nonsense. No more of that hypocrisy. People always get on players for, God forbid, oh my God, they want to try to get into the NFL, or they just want to play. They're not playing at one school. They want to go to another school where they can play. People get so angry at these student athletes for wanting to leave one place and go to another. How about you've got multiple coaches whose teams are in position to play in the college football playoff, and they're leaving and taking other jobs for $100 million contracts right before bowl season and playoff season? I don't hear anybody complaining about that. I don't hear anybody complaining that these multi-million-dollar coaches, some of these guys are making 9 figures, are just stepping up and getting the hell out right before bowl season playoff time, before their seasons are even over. And yet people still cherry pick and complain about players wanting to transfer, or players wanting to make some money endorsing a product or signing an autograph. This hypocrisy absolutely has to stop. So, and let me leave you with one more nugget, and then I think TuAnon actually might be ready to join us, the Galluminati. I'm a little bit afraid as to what might come out of this interview. We're going to bring on, I'm not even sure if it's a dude. I'm going to say we're going to bring on this gentleman. It might be a woman. I don't want to sound sexist. I don't want to sound chauvinist, because they use a voice modulator. So it could very well be a woman with a dainty, high-pitched voice who gets it going, kind of, you can't really tell who it is. So I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on there. But I did want to add something into the mix here, because it's been widely reported. For those wondering, why does Diaz still have a job? Why haven't they moved yet? Why is he still out there recruiting? Why has he not been canned, or why has he not been canned yet? It's been widely reported that on December 1st, let me check my calendar. December, that's tomorrow. December 1st, his buyout goes down by $2 million. So I wouldn't blame them if they felt like firing him on November 30th. That's today. This is a 30-day month, folks. If they felt like firing him on November 30th, but then they look at their calendar and say, hold on. If we do it on December 1st, that's tomorrow, we save $2 million in the buyout. So tomorrow's a day you have to look at. Like, circle tomorrow on the calendar. I'd like to see an athletic director announced by that point as well. But if you're looking for, Diaz getting his walking papers, don't be surprised if it's not happening today. Don't be surprised that it didn't happen yesterday and last week, because if it is true, and I think it is, that the buyout goes down by $2 million if they fire him tomorrow instead of today, then yeah, you start to really look at tomorrow and the coming days to say, okay, I can understand why they haven't done it yet. Wow, if anyone slaps Donno, it's that guy, Hussam Patel. Hussam's been in the chat as well. If Hussam wants to come to a watch party, I will allow him a free slap without retaliation. I'm not even going to slap back because I've earned it. I've disrespected Hussam so much, and I've disrespected a lot of the folks here at the 5 Reasons Sports Network that I'm probably owed a slap. All right, hold on. I gotta get in proper wardrobe for our next guest. Give me a second here. Excuse my my very shiny head, and it's even shinier now because folks, we have to be blocking in these signals. All right. Right now, Joe Biden, George Soros, Nancy Pelosi, they're looking for us right now. I don't even think Biden's really looking for us. He lets the other people handle that stuff. But they're looking for us right now. I got to block these signals here with the foil around my head. We are going to say hello to probably the most controversial figure on social media. And with a new regime, and I can already see my internet lagging a little bit. So, folks, I want to offer a fair warning. If at any point in the next 10 or so minutes we lose our transmission, we lose our feed, I want you to understand there are nefarious players here because I'm using the same Wi-Fi connection. Actually, I've got a hard connection today. I'm not taking any chances. I'm using the same hard connection that usually gets me stellar, very fast download speeds, upload speeds, all that nonsense. So if anything goes wrong with this transmission, you have to understand there are individuals and there are institutions that do not want these words to be said over public airwaves. And we are joined now by the Illuminati. Forgive the the cryptic screen and why you're not looking at a person's face, because you have to understand I'm not going to even ask him where he's coming from or where she's coming from. I have it on good authority that they are broadcasting with us from an undisclosed location in the former Soviet Union, which doesn't really narrow it down a whole lot. This is the leader of TuAnon, but we are all TuAnon, but the Illuminati is with us. How are you?
We are TuAnon.
Now, there's a lot that I've got to get to here because I have been following your Twitter timeline, which is very stream of conscious, and there's been a lot of controversial truth bombs that have been dropped here. So with these conspiracies that have been surrounding the Miami Dolphins starting quarterback, who despite all of these powers and players that are working against him, is having a pretty damn good season, I've become a believer. I'm officially a Tua stan again. So something I have to ask you right off the bat, because these were allegations that you have made. Is it true that Brian Flores last season hired Chan Gailey in order to sabotage Tua? And I'm also told you have evidence that Gailey, whom we thought quit or retired or whatever it was at the end of the last year, is in fact still calling the plays from a secret location in the stadiums.
TuAnon has information that Ryan Fitzpatrick.
See, folks, this is the tampering that I'm talking. Oh, here we go. Keep going. I'm sorry, TuAnon. I thought you were getting cut off. Keep going.
Chan Gailey is hiding in the tunnels. He's calling the game. Ryan Fitzpatrick hates Tua.
Are we still on? All right. So again, I know that this is being tampered with. TuAnon, can you please explain why the national media only talks about Tua Tagovailoa to say negative things? Could it be George Soros perhaps pulling the strings, or is it possible there could be another member of the Illuminati that may be still unidentified at this time?
All right, our connection should be better now. So I'm getting a little bit of feedback, so they're trying to block my signal.
I figured that much. And yeah, like there's evidence here that they're trying to take down TuAnon.
Okay. So Ryan Fitzpatrick hates Tua. We obviously know this. I wasn't taught by my teacher. My teacher's over there. Anyways, the media hates Tua because he's black and he's dark skinned and he's a Christian and there's all these things. No wonder nobody likes him. I don't get it. He's a beautiful man and he does nothing wrong.
That is true. Okay, so something I'm a little bit unclear on. So I need an explanation for this because it has been alleged. Can you explain to me how Jeffrey Epstein ties into all this?
Jeffrey Epstein and Donno are the best friends.
Okay. I think that's a fair explanation. Is it
They were
true?
trained off the island of Hawaii, known as Epstein's Island. And Tua became like Epstein's favorite quarterback, Tim Tebow.
I don't know what is happening with the interference. I got to get this next one to you because this is really important. We have a couple of important ones here we have to get to with the Illuminati. Is it true that Deshaun Watson has not been seen publicly since his phone call with Stephen Ross the night before the trade deadline? I heard that there are deep fakes that could be at play here.
Go look at his Instagram. He hasn't been posting since June. Why is that?
Probably
Go
because
to his Twitter right now. He hasn't posted anything since July.
Wow.
Brian Flores and Chris Greer are going to do anything they can to get Deshaun Watson.
Is
They're
that
going to stop
over?
at nothing.
And let me ask you that because they couldn't bring in Watson at the trade deadline. Do you think that they will go back in for Watson before next season?
Brian Flores and Chris Greer are going to do whatever they can to get Deshaun Watson, no matter what they can.
I got to ask you in closing here because I know that there are probably people trying to trace the signal right now. I do not want you to be located or identified in any possible way. The interesting thing about all of this, with so many external and possibly extraterrestrial forces working against Tua Tagovailoa, he's still doing very well right now. I mean, he just had a fantastic game against the number one passing defense in the NFL. Has Tua won here? Has he won against the forces of evil? Has he prevailed, or will the globalists launch another one of these smear campaigns?
Here's the thing. So Tua is obviously playing his great game. The Dolphins are winning games because of us. They hear us, they know us, and they're trying to distract you away from us. Tua is going to do his best, and he's always going to do his thing. And he's going to win games, and he's going to persevere, because that's who he is. But Brian Flores and Chris Greer are going to try and get Deshaun Watson no matter what.
I feel enlightened after this conversation. Illuminati. I would probably watch your back for the next couple of days. Find a safe house. Just lay low for a while. I appreciate you joining us, and And hopefully you can keep spreading these messages and these truth bombs, because I don't want anything bad to happen to you or me or any of our viewers. Thank you so much.
Stay tuned. The truth will be revealed. We are TuAnon.
There you have it. Our power wasn't cut. You know, the globalists, they tried to shut him down a few times. Let me take, man, I'm sweating with that tinfoil hat on. Whew. Whew. I'm sweating because I know I know the feds are probably looking for us right now. Huge shout out there to TuAnon for joining us. Thank you for the kind words, Big E. So did you guys learn anything? That this whole conspiracy, it involves Chan Gailey secretly calling plays from the tunnel. It involves Jeffrey Epstein's island. It involves a very elaborate ruse by the powers that be within the Dolphins to acquire Deshaun Watson at all costs and discredit Tua Tagovailoa at all costs. Right now, folks, good is prevailing over evil. You look at that, 27 for 31, 230 yards, touchdown, no interceptions, 87% completions. That is good prevailing over evil. The feds know where you are, Donno. Watch your back. Yeah, I'm not very hard to find. Unfortunately, I know that TuAnon was broadcasting from a former Soviet republic somewhere. He could be in one of like 15 different countries. I could not pinpoint his location. I think they know exactly where to find me. So I will be careful. I will be careful. We are TuAnon. We are all TuAnon, my friends. Oh man, let's see if we have any parting comments before we wrap up this episode. We will do some shout outs here. So tough one for the Heat last night. Guys, I cannot wait for the day. And I think it's going to be at some point this week. Of course, we're going to have shows tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, like we always do, when we have identified a new athletic director for the University of Miami. And we're going to talk plenty more Dolphins football as well this weekend. Dolphins have the New York Giants coming up. You know, one thing that I'm not going to be on board with yet is, despite the team winning 4 straight games, which is fantastic. Okay, they've got 2 beatable teams coming up. They could get right back to 7-7 on the year. They'd be 500 for the first time since week 2, when they lost to the Bills. They were 1-1 on the year. A lot of people are already talking about playoffs getting in. ESPN FPI currently gives the Dolphins a 9% chance of getting into the postseason. And I know if they keep winning, those percentages are going to go up week by week by week until they lose another game. But the thing is, I'm not going to count my chickens before they're hatched, because you would probably need to win out, which would mean finishing the season on a 9-game winning streak if you were to become a postseason team, because 10-7, that's not even guaranteed to be enough, right? It makes me think of Lloyd Christmas, Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance? That's what I think about with all this. So treat every game from here on out like 1-week seasons, okay? You want to go 1-0 this week, 1-0 next week, 1-0 the week after. Unfortunately, I think the Dolphins have already dug themselves into too deep of a hole. Like you can't expect to start a season 1-7 and get into the playoffs. It too little, too late. But I am enjoying watching the development of Tua. I'm enjoying watching Jalen Waddle, Javon Holland, Jalen Phillips, especially develop. He asked me, Devin, if I watched the Monday Night Football game last night. I watched the highlights this morning with all the 2-point conversions and 2-point conversion fail, the defensive one. I was focusing on the Heat game last night, which turned out to be a critical error. I probably would have been better off focusing on Seattle at Washington football team last night, because the Heat game, it was like a colonoscopy. It was a painful experience. So, I wish that I had paid more attention to Monday Night Football and a little bit less attention. I actually dodged a bullet because I was thinking of betting Seattle last night, and I never ended up putting in a bet on Seattle. So sometimes it's the bets you don't make, which are the ones that pay off most. I want to send some shout outs here. David, he is a mensch. Even though he calls me a mush, he's a great guy. Only the people that hate themselves watch that one, Devin. Well, I mean, I hated myself. I watched the Heat game, so I must have hated myself in that aspect as well. Zachary B says we're playing in SoFi Stadium this year. Ah, the Super Bowl, baby. SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Your mouth to God's ears. Your mouth to God's ears. I think it's probably more likely they would get to the one next year, I think, in Arizona. But I'd love to be in SoFi Stadium this year. Hello to Zachary B. Hello to Devin. Thank you so much. Hussam Patel, always bringing it strong in the chat. Hussam joins us usually on Thursday, so hopefully he can hop in this week. Obviously, last week we had the Thanksgiving holiday, but this week, hopefully we get him back on at the usual spot. Big E, thank you so much. Nathan Cerna writes in on the Heat game last night. This game showed me how gutless the Miami Heat are. They ain't winning a championship. You sound like Heat Twitter, Nathan. Have the Heat been a little bit disappointing in spots this season? Absolutely. They're 13-8 on the year, probably about where I expected them to be 21 games in, to be completely honest. But I mean, did you just start watching Heat basketball like last year? It's a marathon, not a sprint. We're talking about an 82-game regular season. I believe that this team is built to win the playoffs and built to compete for a championship. Just the key here is, the honest to God key is, once you get to April and May, and into May would mean, at least second round of the playoffs, mid-May, second round of the playoffs, you've got to have your nucleus healthy. It gets aggravating sometimes when Jimmy Butler misses games here and there, but I think they try and maintain him for the playoffs. Kyle Lowry's 35 years old. He's going to be missing games here and there. Even once Victor Oladipo comes back, he's going to miss probably some late regular season games before the playoff run starts. And as long as our guy Duncan Robinson can remember how to make a goddamn three-pointer, he needs to refocus on that. 1 for 9 last night. He's got the yips. It's in his head. It's in his head. But with the way Tyler Hero's been playing, I think Bam Adebayo is not 100% healthy. Hopefully he is come playoff time. Jimmy, Lowry, you've got and even the additions, PJ Tucker, Markieff Morris, these are guys with championship experience. I think this team is going to be all right. Okay. So I'm not going to live and die by every preseason game, or every regular season game, I should say. Sometimes it feels like the preseason, but no, I'm not going to live and die by every regular season game. But needless to say, last night was disappointing, no question. Eric C., thank you so much for joining us. Albie made that comment about Illuminati trying not to get caught by his teacher. I mean, listen, there's a lot. I don't know how good the internet connection is in the former Soviet republics. I don't know, what sort of hoops he has to jump through with that voice modulation, because, if you guys thought that Edward Snowden and Julian Assange were deep in hiding, TuAnon he's bunkered down somewhere. No one is ever going to find that guy, God willing. God willing. Fins or Die, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see who else we got here. Dejan Mercius, Miami got exposed, he said. Yeah, but okay. Are you really going to say Miami got exposed in a night against a good team where 2 of your best players didn't even suit up? I mean, if the Heat had a full squad and they got beaten the way that they did last night, I'd be a little bit more concerned. If that happened in a playoff game, not a regular season game, I'd be a little bit more concerned. Let's slow down on the we got exposed thing. I don't know about that one. Question Everything, which I feel like may be someone who is tuning in for TuAnon today, because he's even got, notice, folks, you know what that triangle means? Isn't that the Illuminati symbol? So that may be one of the people who is in here checking on TuAnon and trying to stifle this content. Gus Padron, thank you so much. 1J54, thank you so much for tuning in. Ronel Ulisse, thank you so much for watching. Welch, love our guy Welch. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big Dan 305, always one of our favorites. Big Dan always brings it strong. Love when Big Dan tunes in. Our guy from across the pond, Andy in Scotland, thank you so much for tuning in. Kervin Abreu, thank you so much for watching today. Michael Stefano, thank you so much. He said truth bombs there about Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin he's been excellent. We all made our brick jokes about Duncan Robinson, highest paid bricklayer in the history. Big victory for working class, my friend. This guy get paid $90 million to lay brick. I do that in Mother Russia for 3 cents a year. It's crazy. Unbelievable. Louis Sung Sr., love it. Got to get Lewis Jr. in more of these chats. Lewis Sr. always brings it strong, does his part. Lewis Jr., he pops in when he feels like it. I need more dedication than that. Our guy, Chris Adams, who runs the Fins Tailgate, he's got a YouTube show as well. Check out Chris. Very passionate Miami Dolphins talk. I love this dude. And yeah, I think that's about all these shout outs today. So my friends, want to remind you, please support our great sponsors. We talked about BlockFi already today. Earn up to, actually, we got to change the graphic. It is now earn up to 9% APY in crypto. If you're in the crypto space, sign up at BlockFi.com. We actually have a referral link, which you can find in the show description. So make sure you use our show referral link. We will get you hooked up, my friends. Make sure you're checking out the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. I think we're going to have another Quarterdeck watch party coming up in the month of December. So check that out. We don't have the exact date yet. I will give it to you when we figure it out, when we finalize it. But the Quarterdeck, that is the spot. It's better than the common sports bar. The Quarterdeck has delicious, fresh seafood, 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. Go out there to watch football on Sundays, and they're going to hook you up with the 5 for $15 ice-cold buckets of imported beer or high noon hard seltzer. Mix and match those to your heart's content. They've got every UFC pay-per-view fight at the Quarterdeck for zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door. Visit them on the web, quarterdeckrestaurants.com. You can check out the menu there. You can find the location nearest to you. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. And betus.com. I have been having so much fun this year at betus.com. I found BetUS about a year ago because they had odds on games that I couldn't find in other places. I couldn't find odds on college lacrosse at other sports books. And I realized they had it at betus.com. And then I came to find out this is a magical, magical place. I've been with BetUS ever since, and I'm happy they're with us as one of the partners here on this show. We have the best bonus in the industry. You sign up at BetUS, a full-service sports book. And to answer your question, because I get asked this a lot whenever I talk about BetUS, absolutely, you can use it in Florida. Don't think that you're blocked off because you're in Florida. No, you can use every feature on BetUS in Florida. Full service sports book. They have a casino right there on the website. You can play blackjack. You can play slots, all sorts of other games. I like playing blackjack on there for real money. But yeah, they have odds on every sporting event you can possibly imagine. And if you sign up with our code, we have the best bonus in the industry for you. 5RSN125. Sign up with our code 5RSN125 and get a 125% sign up bonus. They're going to make it rain free play money for you. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Devin Jordan writes in they need to trade Duncan Robinson before the trade deadline. Yeah, the problem is he's bricking himself into lowering his value. I mean, I'm sure you could still get something for him, but you want to buy low and sell high. So I don't really feel like you're even going to get full value on Dunk if you were to trade him before the deadline. They'd send you like a bag of ketchup Lays, like trade him to the Toronto Raptors and the Canadians. We'll send you some ketchup chips, eh? How about that? That's probably what you're going to get from that guy at this point. So yeah, don't hold your breath on that. Oh, and yeah, on that video, they played the Serbian national anthem in the club. Tough look. The Serbian national anthem, hard. That is a hard song. Those are hard people. In fact, Ethan Skolnick asked Nikola Jokic after the game, what it felt like getting booed by the Miami crowd. And his answer was like, listen, I don't worry about getting booed in Miami. I played in Serbia. Have you ever played in Serbia? This is normal. In Miami, you call this not being very nice. In Serbia, we call this saying hello when you boo somebody. It's not a big problem, my friend. No, he was not. I mean, sir, this guy's probably getting death threats playing basketball growing up in Serbia. It's nothing like playing here. I don't think any crowd can bother him in Miami. And then he goes out to the nightclub and they just, they give him carte blanche. Right? I mean, here, go ahead, sir. Just take over our nightclub. We don't even care. Oh, this is a good call here. We need some Christmas graphics starting tomorrow. Tomorrow is December 1st. I mean, we're full go to the holidays from tomorrow on. We need to think about that. I need to get the old graphics department on that. I'm going to make some Christmas decorations here in the home office. I'm going to string up some lights. I'm going to maybe put up some mistletoe, put some wreaths up there. We're gonna have a good time. We'll play some Christmas music. We will figure that out. Huge shout out and thank you to everybody who tuned in. Let me. Oh yeah, I think I already pulled this message up. Draw Quick 2014. Thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you guys again tomorrow on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.